Hi, and welcome back to Mike's Cooking Corner. My name is Mike Paszkiet, and what we're doing today is we're preparing for my audition this Saturday for the television show MasterChef. And what I chose to do for my audition was to make a homemade chicken lasagna. So what I did is last night I made some homemade chicken stock, and let me bring that out for you. Important difference to really know about a good stock and a broth is a stock is actually made from boiling bones and vegetables together, unlike a broth where you boil the meat and vegetables together. And this is what it should look like. You can pull the cover off. A well-made stock is slightly gelatinous in texture. So if you can see it here, it's kind of gelled. And what causes that is there's a substance called collagen in bones. And that collagen gets absorbed from the bones into the liquid and flavors and thickens the liquid. It gelatinizes it. So what I did is, after putting this in the refrigerator, I skimmed as much fat as I could off of it again. And what I'm going to do is turn this into a veloute sauce. And from a veloute sauce, I'm going to make cream of celery and cream of chicken soup as some of the main ingredients for my lasagna. So the first thing I need to do, I'm going to turn on my heat. Okay, put my stock over here for right now. I'm going to need this for later. Okay, what I did is I gathered some of my ingredients together. Earlier today I clarified some butter, 4 ounces of clarified butter. And I made like a mirepoix, which is, actually a white mirepoix, which is about 1.5 ounces of celery and 1.5 ounces of onion. And I'm going to use that with the butter to flavor everything up and make a roux, which will thicken my sauce. And what I'm going to do is add to that 1.5 ounces of flour. So what I have to do is I'm heating up my pan. I'll add my clarified butter to the pan. And then what I'm going to do is grab my spoon over here. And what I'm going to do is what they call sweat, or pretty much what it is. It's taking a fat and pretty much tenderizing some vegetables without browning them. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of stir it around a bit, let it get hot for a little bit, and we'll see what we come up with. And you can hear it sizzling a little bit right now, so you know it's heating up. And you have a nice little mirepoix, tenderized. As you can see, if you look in here, it's starting to sizzle a little bit. How you can tell that is it's simmering because you have a little bit of bubbles here. And I want to turn my heat down a little bit because it's going to start boiling pretty soon, which it is kind of like right now. And the reason why I use clarified butter is because the fat in regular butter has a low smoke point, and what a smoke point is the temperature that a butter can withstand before it starts breaking down and becomes useless, and you really can't use it anymore. So clarified butter, what you do is you technically kind of remove the fat, or as much fat as you can, so you raise the smoke point so it won't burn what you're trying to work with. Okay? Hi, and welcome back to Mike's Cooking Corner. Right now we're still working on my MasterChef audition of the chicken lasagna. And what we're doing right now is we're continuing on tenderizing our mirepoix that we did with the clarified butter. And what I want to do now is I'm going to take my 1.5 ounces of flour, and I'm going to add that to the fat, so you have equal parts by weight of fat and flour. And what you do is you make what they call a roux. And what you want to do is mix that together. And then what I'm actually going to do now is add a little bit more flour. Get my scale over here real quick. And I'll show you how to weigh some of the stuff out. Because I originally started with 4 ounces of butter, and since you want equal parts by weight, and I put 1.5 ounces of flour in there, what I did is I'm just mixing it up and just letting it absorb a little bit. It's my way of making sure it gets all absorbed more thoroughly to make a more efficient roux. You know, some people do things different ways. This is just the way I prefer to do it. And what I'm doing here is adding more flour to my scale. Because actually what I'm doing here is making 2 batches. So later on I'm going to separate that. So it's 1.5, so you get 1.9, it's 3, 5, 7, 8, there we go. So equal to 4 ounces and 4 ounces. You pour that thing in there, cover this up, make sure it stays clean. And I'm going to mix this up together. And if you come over here, and you can see how it's thickening up. What it's going to do is turn into a paste-like substance called the roux. And actually what we're going to be making today, because we're making a brown sauce, is we're going to be making a blonde roux. And what that is, it's just simply the roux, it's turning slightly brown, and you'll know it's done is when you're cooking all the raw flour taste out. What happens is it starts turning a yellow in color, and you start getting a slight nutty aroma. That's how you know it's done. So you kind of like a low medium heat, and just kind of move it around, thin it out some, let it cook, because it'll start getting firmer and firmer as things go on. Okay, so while that's cooking, what I can do is go into an explanation of some of the flavorings that are going into this mixture. This right here is what they call a sachet d'épices, and all that is French for spice bag. And what I did is I took a bay leaf, some dried thyme, dried parsley, which I had on hand. I took some red, black, yellow, green, and pink peppercorns, and I put them in here for some flavor. And I already have a little string tied up already. And what I want to do is I put this on, if you can see here, oops, about 3 or 4 layers of cheesecloth, because you're using dry ingredients. You don't really want to get the dry ingredients into your sauce, and you want to keep it as clean as possible. So I just wrap it up like that, put my little lasso around it, and tie it up rather nicely, and wait for the roux to finish. Put it over here, get this out of the way. Hi, and welcome back to Mike's Cooking Corner. Right now we're making a roux. What I did during the break is I separated my roux, like I said. This is approximately 3 ounces of roux. It's about approximate equal weights of 1.5 ounces of flour and 1.5 ounces of clarified butter. And what I did is I mixed it up, and if you can look in here and see how you have that light brown color, and it has a light smelly aroma of nuts, and it actually smells pretty good. And what I'm going to do to that is I'm going to take, for my veloute sauce, I'm going to take approximately 30 ounces of my chicken stock that I made the other day and add it to it. Mix it up a little bit, grab myself a whisk, and I'm going to whisk it continuously at this point until it starts to boil. And this is going to thicken my liquid up to make the main body of my sauce here. And so, you know, people who don't know, veloute sauce is one of the 5 mother sauces for cooking. It's a very, very flavorful sauce. It has this particular stock I made was a white stock. It wasn't a brown stock. And to make a veloute sauce, you must use a white stock. It's very important, because if you roast your bones, well, in this case it's chicken. It's not made out of beef. You know, white stock is usually made of beef bones or veal, but I use chicken bones for this particular stock. And all that means is, for the most part, it should be, when you hold it up to the light, it should be transparent and clear. The more transparent and clear it is, and the more gelatinized your stock is, the higher the quality of this particular stock. So what I'm going to do is just mix this up some. And since I'm using metal in a metal pan to help avoid shavings, what I'm doing is I'm trying to avoid hitting the pan as much as possible and just getting the liquid going. And what this is going to do is it's going to help prevent scorching the bottom of the pan. And in the meantime, I got my sachet d'épices, my spice bag, and I'm getting that ready because what I'm going to do is tie it to my handle. That's the reason why I put this string on it, because later on when I want to pull that thing out of my sauce, it's going to make things a lot easier for me. So all I'm going to do is like heat this up a little bit, turn up the heat a little bit, bring it to a boil. Yeah, because there's nothing worse than the taste of a squirt sauce. I mean, it can be really bad. So you actually just want to make sure you get this thing well mixed and boiling. And when you actually do to turn it down to a simmer, you want to simmer for approximately about an hour. And you should have a nice thickened sauce on your hands. And then all you have to do right there is take white pepper and salt and season it up to taste. And of course, take your sachet bag off. And then we'll be in a good position to separate this and make our two separate soups of cream of chicken and cream of celery. So I'll get this thing ready here as I'm stirring it. Yeah, it's starting. You can see a nice smoke over here. It's going to start boiling pretty soon. Be careful not, especially in any kind of stove like this, when you tie your string on there, be very careful to pay attention to the string's position before you put it in the pot if you're going to do this, because you don't want to set a fire. Don't want to do that. It wouldn't be a good day. And take this out the heat before it boils over. You don't want to do that. And in the meantime, I could wash my hands very thoroughly. Make sure everything is nice and clean and sanitary. If you have to touch your nose or anything like that, or scratch or do anything while you're cooking, always make sure you thoroughly wash your hands in the area before you do anything else. So what I'll do is I'll put my pan back on here, and with my clean hands, I'll put my spice bag in there, turn my heat down even lower, and make sure it comes to a nice simmer. And I got my little handy dandy timer over here, and what I'm going to do is set it for approximately an hour and keep an eye on it like every 15 minutes or so. But I'm setting the timer just in case, everybody's human. They might forget, they might run into something important. But of course, nothing's more important than cooking and doing it right. But stuff happens in reality sometimes. But what I want to do now is, if you see I put my spice bag in there, I'm bringing it to a nice simmer, and we'll simmer it for an hour, and we'll come back and check it out.